go. We'll talk in the break. Good evening and welcome to this Wednesday edition of Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis. Coming up on tonight's show, Clarion University President Dr. Diane Reinhard joins us. Feedback starts now. Wednesday evening, as I said, I'm Mark Despotakis. Tonight, another fun show. Clarion University President Dr. Diane Reinhard is here, and always love having her down. It's always an interesting half hour. She was in Oxford over in England this summer. We're going to be talking about that, as well as some other things going on. So we're going to go ahead and take a break right now, get one of these breaks out of the way, and when we come back, we are going to start talking with Dr. Reinhard. Stay with us. Feedback continues after the break.
By Fox's Pizza Den. Fox's Pizza Den is located on Old Route 66 in Clarion and offers all-day delivery. Phone 226-5555. That's 226-5555. Fox's Pizza Den is open 7 days a week for your convenience. Phone 226-5555.
Wardrobe for some TV5 news anchors, provided by Fashion Bug, located in the Clarion Mall. Whether you're looking for junior trendy, girls, or fashion for women, they have it all, with many different styles. Fashion Bug also offers a wide selection of accessories. Fashion Bug is located in the Clarion Mall, just off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 9 p.m., and Sunday from noon till 5.
This portion of the program was made possible through a grant from Clarion Hospital. Clarion Hospital is located off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Clarion Hospital offers outpatient services, transitional care, as well as an emergency room open around the clock every day of the year. More than 400 employees and 80 physicians work to serve the community. Call the Clarion Hospital at 226-9500. Clarion Hospital, providing health care to Clarion County and surrounding communities since 1954.
Do you want complete coverage of local, state, national, and international news as it happens?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to TV5 News Live.
So tune in to Clarion's very own TV5 News Live for complete coverage of the Clarion area and our world. TV5 News crews join with crews from the world's news leader, CNN, to provide complete coverage of the day's events. With advanced satellite capabilities, TV5 News can bring you the latest news as it happens. So tune in every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings for Clarion's very own TV5 News Live.
Welcome back to Feedback. Tonight we are talking to Clarion University President Dr. Diane Reinhard. Thank you for joining us.
It's always a pleasure, Mark.
And we love having you down.
To come down.
So you were at Oxford this summer.
I was.
Why is that?
Well, I was invited to go to Oxford. It is an invitational session. There were about 43 presidents of universities worldwide. We talked about a lot of different issues. Some of the issues were very common across institutions. Half of the participants were from the United States, and it was a good mixture of public and private institutions, some from large, some from smaller institutions. So it was great. We stayed at St. Anthony's, one of the 39 colleges at Oxford. And Oxford, of course, is an experience in and of itself. Most of the colleges have stone walls around them, and of course, some of the colleges are so old. The oldest one, which they refer to as New College, was built in the 1400s, and so it is very, very hard. It's very old and hard to think about how you continue some of the traditions of Oxford at the same time in which you try and be as advanced as you need to be. I mean, their library is just absolutely marvelous, but there no technology that you could see. It's a great resource. I worried about if that library would be here in the States, it would be closed down because it was such a fire trap. But it's just a marvelous facility. And there are certain cultural differences. For example, we have laws that protect students' rights and students' right to privacy as far as educational records. At Oxford, when you take an exam, you go to a special building called the examination hall, and then they post your grades right out there in front of the public outside of the hall. And so there are other little things about Oxford that you found interesting. When we talked about issues facing higher education, of course, a major one was funding. Most of the countries that were there were trying to increase their college-going rate, whereas the United States, with its overall college-going rate of over 60% of high school graduates. In Great Britain, for example, they established a goal by 2000 to talk about 30%, and they hope to go to 40% by 2010. So access is a big issue, and in certain countries like China, of course, you're talking about the need to really increase just the numbers that have access to higher education. So we think we're doing fairly well in the United States, even though all 60% of them don't complete a high school education.
What you went and you met with so many of these other people. What were some of the specific things that maybe you took away that now you can say, well, I'm coming back to Clarion University, and here's what I can really take away from that and apply here?
Well, I think that some of the things that we talked about were the need to be a lot more resourceful in the way in which you increase your budget, not to rely on one source only. For example, the state. I mean, public universities like Clarion have a large portion of their budget that comes to us through the state in the state appropriation. Well, we have really the need to supplement that with private fundraising, with grants and contracts, and with other ways. We're doing that now, but a lot of other universities worldwide are really doing a lot more than we are, and so I think that that's something that we'll continue to do, because since we're a public university, we really are at the mercy of what happens to a state if the economy goes. And in fact, right now, we may be faced with a budget cut for a second semester because the state revenue picture isn't what it was when we received our original budget. Now, we haven't received any firm word of that. Penn State has already received their budget cut for the first phase, and since we're a public university, state-owned university, we weren't considered as part of the first cut. But in all probability, we'll have some sort of a budget cut because of the revenue projections. Well, how can we try and broaden our revenue base so that we aren't so affected by what happens within the state? That certainly was one lesson. But I think it was also important to understand the differences between public and private. In many ways, you think that you think of Oxford as being private, but it's really a public university. The Netherlands, for example, they don't have in K-12 the concept, or higher education, the concept of public and private. It's all public. So it's just, it probably, you know, it enables you to think anew about current issues that you're faced with in the United States. And then, of course, there were a lot of institutions from the United States, so you were able to say, well, how are you doing this at your institution?
You know, you struck something here, the budget cut. I think that's maybe something we need to talk about. If it does happen, and you're saying it, you know, it does look like it's going to happen, obviously Clarion won't be the only school that would go through something.
Right.
But how does a school like Clarion, how do you cope with something like that? Because in education these days, it's, look at, we've built a library. It's not free to put computers in. It's not free to run a television station that is owned by a university. Right. You know, how do you compensate?
Well, how do you make, those are some of the most difficult decisions you have to make at a university. I mean, we have already, as a part of our budgeting process, need to reallocate about $1.3 million. So, I mean, we're constantly trying to reallocate so that we have the resources for the high priority areas. If, in fact, we get another reduction in the state, then what I will do as a president will work with my executive committee, so that's my vice presidents and provost, and essentially decide on how we're going to allocate the budget cut. And since it's coming at this point of the year, you know, almost 80% of our budget is in personnel that we've made commitments to. So we have only certain things that we can essentially cut from.
Right.
And what we try and do is say that, you know, we will try and make the cuts in ways that will have the least impact on the, you know, the academic programming that we offer to students. But there's only so much that you can do.
Right.
I mean, we have already essentially, through budgeting process, made arrangements for the library. I mean, you can't stop a project.
Right, obviously.
And there are other things that we don't want to stop because we think it'll really position the university for the future. And you can't lose sight of the fact that you need a strong university. And it is true that, you know, that we aren't alone, and we aren't alone in this state. We aren't alone in this country. You know, when I was at a meeting of presidents the weekend before Thanksgiving, and it's 400 presidents of institutions, you know, with the same mission as Clarion. I'm on that board. It's called ASCU, the American Association of State Colleges and Universities, and everybody was talking about significant budget cuts. I mean, we're talking 10–15%, which is a lot of money to be thinking about at this time of year, because it's really 20% because you've already spent half of your budget. So, I mean, there are some significant problems with revenue in states throughout the country.
Okay. Well, I'm going to hold it right there. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about budget. I also want to talk about Dr. Judy Hampel, our new chancellor. We're going to actually have a little story about her. And then we're going to talk about Carlson Library. Good. So a lot to do, so we're going to hurry up and take a break. Feedback continues after this.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am
An American.
I am an American.
I am American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
September 11, 2001 tragedy was not only the tragedy of one nation, it was a tragedy for the entire human race. And if the perpetrators were Arabs or Muslims, we should not blame this on Islam or the entire Islamic faith. We should try to avoid these epithets because they have got serious consequences for innocent people. It is very necessary for us to detach the individual acts from their faith and from their ethnicity.
You'd never know it on the battlefield, but nearly half of today's military are National Guard and reservists. However, they can't answer our nation's call without their employer's support. If you're an employer, visit esgr.org and find out how to do your part. After all, their response depends on yours.
You're watching TV5 with Zeta Tau Alpha.
Welcome back to Feedback. So much to talk about, so little time, so I'm going to just dive right back in. We're talking about the budget with Dr. Reinhard here, president of Clarion University. We were talking about the budget before the break, and wanted to follow up a little bit. There is a possibility that we may be getting a budget cut as a university as a whole. And it seems that, like I was saying before, the cost of doing education is going up. And I know specifically in the communication department, we don't have as many faculty as we do when I started. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine it's the same in other departments. How does that play into this? Obviously, that's a problem that we don't have the faculty now. Now there's not probably or may not be the money for more faculty down the line.
Well, first of all, we should, we don't know what the budget cut that I was talking about would be mid-year, and it would be probably one time only, which means that hopefully it'll be restored in the budget process. One of the problems that we face, and I would ask all of the listeners to really be thinking about this, is that the state budget really has very little flexibility as far as what they can cut. And unfortunately, it's about 9% of the total state budget. The rest of them are entitlement programs. Mm-hmm. And within that 9% is where higher education is. And so there's been a lot of people that have been writing lately about the fact that, we can't continue to do this. We can't continue to balance the state budget on the backs of higher education. Or really what happens is it's not only on the backs of higher education, but it's on the backs of students. Mm-hmm. Because what has happened in the Commonwealth is that more of the cost of education are being put into tuition and fees. We have, as you know, one of the highest tuition levels in the country. I think we're the third highest. So some people are writing about the fact that since education is so closely tied to economic development and growth in the state, we are not doing we're doing the state a disservice by always balancing the budget by cutting higher education, because that's really the seed corn, and that's what you need to make a state get stronger. There is a program with the state called the Brain Drain program, where they're trying to encourage people to not only come and be educated in Pennsylvania, but to stay. Mm-hmm. Well, whether or not they stay in Pennsylvania is in some ways dependent upon whether or not there's a specific job, but it's also dependent upon whether or not they've had a good experience
right.
While they're getting their undergraduate education.
Okay. We could talk about the budget for a while, but I do want to move on to just in the order of time. Earlier in September, Dr. Judy Hampel, the new state system chancellor, visited Clarion. I had the chance to talk with her. In fact, you're even in this story. This story actually aired mid-September. She visited on September 6th. Take a look at the story as it aired on TV5 News in mid-September of this year. Her goal: spread the message of the state system of higher education. Her first thought to detail that message: Clarion.
One of the things that's always impressed me about the universities in our system, and it's part of why I was interested in this position in the first place, is the very strong core curriculum that is the foundation for every major that our students have.
New State System Chancellor Dr. Judy Hampel made her first stop on a tour of state system universities here at Clarion University. She spoke with students, faculty, and staff at an open forum on September 6th.
I wanted an open forum to give you a chance to help educate me as the new chancellor, someone who's new to your state, who's very anxious to learn about what's of interest and concern to you.
Her visit to Clarion University was a welcome one, according to University President Dr. Diane Reinhard.
I think, Mark, you know that I served on the search committee when I was the presidential representative on the search committee, so I got to know the Judy before anybody else did. And so I've been very impressed with her.
Hampel is using her visits to various campuses to discover the issues facing the entire state system. Once she assesses the issues at each campus, she feels she'll be better able to serve the system and the entire state. At Clarion University, Mark Despotakis, TV5 News. So that was a little bit about Dr. Hampel's day here at Clarion, and I was just telling Dr. Reinhardt that kind of got lost, I think, in the jumble of September 11th coverage. But I think her visit was certainly very important. What did you get out of her visiting not only this campus but the Venango campus?
Well, first of all, she was very impressed with what she saw and what she heard. As I said in my introduction, the reason she came to Clarion first is she wanted to come to the best, the most highly qualified, academically stellar institution, and then she could judge all the rest of them by the standards that we have here at Clarion. But she really, I think, came away impressed with the faculty and the staff and the students that she spoke with, and so I appreciate your coming over and doing the interview with her, because I think that was important. She has told the group of presidents on subsequent occasions that you know, her biggest, not surprise, but her biggest, I think, really nice thing that's happened since she's come to the state system is having the opportunity to really meet such an extraordinarily fine group of students. So she's been very impressed with students across the institutions, and of course she works with the leadership of the state Senate presidents, and you may know that Ben Shervanak is also in a leadership role with that organization. So she's really been, I think, very impressed with the students. She continues to do very fine work. I feel sorry for her in some ways. You know, she has so many things she has to deal with. Going to the legislature at the time, which there's not a lot of money. Just getting everything done that needs to be done. But you know, I'll be spending the next couple of days with her. She's involving university presidents very much, and you know, so that policies that come out of Harrisburg really have a grounding in the academic culture of the campuses, and that's really good for the future of the universities.
As you said in my piece that we just saw, you were on the search committee.
Yes.
So why Judy? Why, you said you knew the Judy, you know, before we knew the Judy. So why did you? Why? Well, obviously it wasn't just your selection, but I mean, why? Well,
I think that you know, a lot of the Board of Governors members that were on the search committee felt the same way I did. First of all, she has a strong sense of what it takes to have a solid academic program, and we are in the education business, and that should be something that is a value that is very strong. So she knows what it takes to have a fine university. She's experienced. She's been at a lot of universities, and she's served in a lot of different roles. She's also been with a major sort of state system, the Florida state system. So she had all of the kind of administrative experiences, and she had the kind of values that were appropriate for an educational institution.
Well, I think that those who were there to see her were as well impressed by her. I certainly was impressed by her. Let's move on to the Carlson Library.
Okay.
You know, I drive by and I see, wow. I mean, when I came back in the fall, I didn't even recognize that. Am I at Clarion? You know, and we had Claire Heiler out here a few weeks ago to talk about it. But can you give us an update? What else do we have?
Well, first of all, you know, I know that one of the things that students are interested in is when is the walkway going to be open?
Sure.
And I think that, you know, I don't know exactly when, but it's going to be in the near future. They really are finished, you know, pouring some of the cement, and I think that we'll see some activity in the next week or so. It also is giving people an opportunity to walk, though, past the new bakery. Are you?
Sure.
We have a new way in which you can get a cup of coffee and get a donut. You know, the only donut shop in town, you know, sort of closed, so we thought we'd provide some opportunities for students to catch a donut and a coffee or something else on the way to their classes. But the furniture is going to come in a couple of weeks. The first delivery of furniture by April, the first floor will be open, and by commencement, everything will be done. I don't know if I talked with you, Mark, about the fact that we're going to have this really nice bell tower.
You know, yes, you know what? But they just told me we're out of time.
Oh.
You know, we were saying we're going to have you back in the spring.
Okay.
We need to do this for like an hour.
All right.
Because yeah, we're running out of time. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break, and thanks for coming
you're
down.
welcome.
We loved it. Happy holidays to you.
And you too.
And we'll be back right after this.
We're stronger than you. You can't hold us back. Violence. We know what it takes to blow past you.
And violence, we're just getting going.
On September 11th, America faced terrorist attacks of the worst kind. Innocent lives were lost, and a sad cloud was cast over this great nation. These acts were intended to cause fear among all Americans, including our children. But we cannot let that happen. There are things we can do to help our kids. Talk with them, listen to them, tell them they're safe and that they're loved. God bless you, and God bless America.
Seller One has plans that fit the way you talk. For all the who's, whens, whys, and wheres, there's a plan this year. Make someone's holiday happy, happier, or the happiest of all with one of these great phones. Plus, get a free line of phone service, unlimited nights and weekends, free long distance, and free voice-activated dialing. However you talk, Cellular One. Plans that fit the way you talk.
Whether you're looking for seasonal flowers, wedding flowers, or plants, Wilshire's Flowers and Gifts has them all, plus a vast array of gifts ranging from dolls, balloons, fruit baskets, and plush toys. Stop by Wilshire's Flowers and Gifts located on Merck Street in Clarion. Wilshire's offers same-day delivery. Phone number 226-7070 or 1-800-833-3571. The phone answers 24 hours a day.
Hey, all right, we were back on feedback, and Dr. Reinhard has her dog Maggie down here. We were trying to get her up on the set. She was kind of jumping around, but she is, I don't know if we can get her. She's over on that side of the set. That's all right. But thank you for joining us, Dr. Reinhard. We are going to have you back in the spring, that's for sure. TV5 News is coming up next. Stay tuned tomorrow night, the first of our 2 TV5 News anchor free-for-alls. That's tomorrow night at 7:30. Have a good night.